We have 15 games on the MLB card. I have 14 open bets with much more on the sideline pending market confirmation. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Stride. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
Welcome to the closing line here at Pub Sports Radio. I usually start my interlude talking about how tribal knowledge applies to the sports betting industry, but I wanted to talk about tribal knowledge. Tribal knowledge is when a group of people believe that if it's true now, it must always be true, which is a flawed train of thought. There's a plethora of examples proving that to be true. People in the Stone Age believing that hunting and gathering was the most effective way to survive. Or in my personal corporate experience, the belief that sales performance was strictly driven by incentive-based measures. Not true. Or how about in football? It's tribal knowledge that running the football is the best way to play offense, triple option, wing T, loaded boxes. Things change. You got to keep an open mind, constantly adapt, learn from others, and hypothesize. And things are especially going to change in this market, in the sports betting markets, because it's just been flooded with liquidity since the legalization of sports gambling across the country. So if you ain't getting better, you're getting worse. Today, we're about to get a little bit better. Before we dive in, and I don't think there's very many of you out there in the chat right now, but my man, Justin J. Mack, one day we're going to have to link up, my dude. Maybe next time I'm out in Pitt, Dizzy Donuts, my man. Appreciate you guys showing up, showing some respect. Pub Sports Radio, damn, we're a movement over here. Truly believe that, and this is where I started handicapping in the shadows for many years before coming live on screen, before being even profitable. So let's dive into it. We got kind of a big card today. We're going to kick it off with the MLB and start with the Guardians and the Astros. Uncle Eddie, my man, you rule. Let's see if I rule. The first three shows I did. So 2 weeks ago now on a Thursday, last week, Tuesday, Thursday, I've been profitable on these days, which is really good because I'm having a little bit of a rough year, but it's time to break out of that spell. Really, it's the Yankees that are dragging me down into the red this season. Outside of the Yankees, I'm having a really great season. So let's attack, starting with the Guardians and the Astros. You can see the numbers on screen. They're pretty up to date. Right now, you got 74% of bets, 92% of cash coming in on the Guardians. Odds Logic, 73% of bets, 56% of cash on the Guardians. These basically remain the same pretty much all day. Actually, now we're seeing the sharp action flip from the Guardians back over to the Astros here at Action Network. From a line movement standpoint, this opened around minus 150. We got a 5-6 cent move towards Cleveland. The total opened 8, juice to the over, and we're up to 8.5. And I think that makes a ton of sense because what do we know about this game? Well, we know quite a bit about this game. First and foremost, we got a market history that's going to be very suggestive that the Cleveland Guardians are the right side. If I filter down the Guardians to games since 2023 where they've opened between minus 160 or minus 140 at home, there's only one game in that sample. And the line did move their way, and it was last year for Guardians Twins. I fully expect the line. I expected this line to move towards the Astros. It did. We see a U-shaped line movement, but historically, as long as it's staying within this 10-cent range, especially with a team like the Guardians, because it's rare we see them as this big of favorites, especially with an opening line. That speaks volumes about Parker Messick, which last Thursday I had a max bet on this guy. I came on the show absolutely touting that this was the best spot on the board, and it came to fruition. He was out there for over 100 pitches. That's a little bit concerning. How deep in this game is he going to go? And I think that's why you're seeing some sentiment on the over. That's why we're seeing this total being pushed up. We know the Houston Astros are known to hit left-handed pitching, but I found it interesting that if they hit left-handed pitching so well, then why were the Cardinals trying to get left-handed pitchers on the mound in that series in Houston where they got swept? Maybe I know historically it's been true. They mash lefties. This season, on paper, it's true. They're fourth versus left-handed pitching. I have my reservations, especially after watching what we've seen in Houston. We faded Weiss last week on the show with the Rockies, and Dollander shoved. This guy probably has the weakest strength of schedule, and he's still putting up trash numbers. The Rockies twice, Seattle, and we know that's an offensive suppressing ballpark. The Red Sox, the Angels. I mean, he's allowing a 55% hard hit rate. I think he could be due to get hit up here. So you can make a very good case for this over. The line's moving towards the over. It's getting a little bit too pricey for me. Once it starts getting to 9, up from 8 to 9 would be too big of a move. I'd only be looking down towards the under. If over floats your boat, I wouldn't mind it. I could only look towards Cleveland in this spot, but this is going to be a pass. And yesterday, I thought that it was very indicative that the opening line was so short yesterday in a matchup that appeared to be immaculate. Well, now we're seeing that with this opening line at -150. Anybody in the chat on this spot? Not a lot of action on this spot. Let's keep rolling, man. We got to get through these MLB games. This is where I want to be, though. This is my wheelhouse. Marlins versus the Cardinals. Yesterday, the Marlins were my favorite. They had my top grade on the board. Fade the Cardinals off a W5, sweep the Astros. They had a tax pen. Well, now the roles are kind of reversing to some extent. We're looking at 61% of bets and cash on the Marlins. And on Odds Logic, we're looking 34% of cash coming in on the Marlins. Most books opened this line -105-ish and moved it 10 cents towards Miami. Circa actually did the opposite, and we see this it's pretty commonplace to see Circa move it the opposite way because they open it at the -120, where all the books try to chase them to the -120. Then they start moving the opposite way. Very interesting. It's like Circa as a book is fading the other books, which I love to see. But the history of this market, the history of this move from -105 to -120 puts the home team in a profitable range. I was thinking this is one of those games I have reservations to make a bet. We have Paddock versus May, two pitchers that I had to come full circle around. I was once on the fade train for both these guys. Now it's different. Paddock, he has reverse splits. I think that's important in this matchup against St. Louis. He's got a 3.90 xERA. He has a very impressive start to his season. And Dustin May on the other side. I mean, I've been backing this guy with success. And I faded him because I backed him in his last two winning efforts, and I actually faded him in Detroit if you go back to when he pitched there. But he's making a little bit of a bounce back, and it's the first season of his career he's thrown a four-seam over 25% of the time. And I don't know why that wouldn't be the case his entire career, because that's his best pitch, clearly. That's where his velo is, and that's where his best – I think he needs to be rooted in that fastball, and we're starting to see that. Miami pretty damn good against right-handed pitchers. I don't know if we're going to see that extend out for their entire season or if it's a little bit of a blip on the radar. I think between -115 and -120, I have a Marlins buy point at -115. I haven't moved on this yet, but I wanted to let the market dictate my action because historically that's been favorable for sports bettors, following what the market is dictating. And I personally believe that what I would document in my database, the entry I would make, would be showing a line movement towards the Marlins. So that would be the way I look. I also think, the Cardinals, I don't know what to expect of their bullpen. I know, some people shit on the Cardinals bullpen, but they do have Riley O'Brien, which he's an absolute stud, but he's only good for one inning. So I do lean Marlins. I might make that move before the show ends. I got a lot of action coming up here, which let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Let's go over to the Tigers versus the Brew Crew. I can't stop wanting to fade the Brewers. I didn't do it here, but I would definitely be leaning that way. Right now, we're looking at 58% of bets. We're looking at a lot of action per action network coming on the Tigers, and then it's vice versa. Odds Logic, 66% of bets, 84% of cash on the Brewers. Earlier this morning, now it's 56-79, kind of evening out from a bet standpoint, but the cash is still on the Brewers. I knew that would change as the day went on. Sure enough, we've fully seen it. I think that they're trying to create some head fakes in the market, get the number where they wanted to be. I expected this to move more than we're seeing right now. So I'm surprised that the head fake clearly didn't work in this spot. But one constant data point that I've seen across this market when I'm profiling, look at all the different variables and how to incorporate them into one environment, the under is the constant. It ranges from a floor of 53% to a ceiling of 63% with a 59% average. So historically, in a market with a massive sample, right, because we have a ton of games in this price range, with this short line movement, these games have gone under at a ridiculous rate, even if we, built into the sample that this line had moved from 8 to 8.5. So we're seeing a move to the over. Historically, it goes under. And that's the way I bet it, because I believe in Montero. This is the kid I've been backing for multiple years. He has a 1.88 xERA. He's top of the MLB in xERA, expected slug, and walk percentage, which is vastly different from last year. We expect him to be much better at home. Now, he has a weak strength of schedule. This will be the best offense he's seen. So we'll see if he'll be able to maintain that. But we've seen a massive change to Montero's pitch mix. His sinker elevated from 8% to 26%. That's a massive jump year over year. And this year, sticking with fastball changeup to left-handed hitters, I feel like he has a bright future. But Milwaukee could be a little bit of a road bump today. Hopefully not, though, because I am, again, on the under. And Harrison, I mean, he's on pace for the best season of his career. I project him to be slightly above average at this point, when before this season, I really was low on Harrison, but he continues to go out there, post quality starts. His stuff ain't great. I do expect him to progress, but I do think that this is a great matchup. You know, Detroit versus left-handed pitchers. You want to fade Detroit versus left-handed pitchers. And that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 minus 120 because I know a lot of people in my community don't have access to the first 3 as a sign of good measure, right? As an act of good measure, good faith. I bet the first 5 under 4.5 as well. Yeah, Milwaukee has a lot of good left-handed bats. I know. That was kind of the question I was trying to answer, Chris, is will he be able to deal with all these left-handed bats? And the line says no, but historically, you know what this move from 8 to 8.5 has done? In a very tight distribution, a little spread range, very short home favorites. These games have gone under at a ridiculous clip. And I trust these 2 pitchers to have a good start. So I'm pretty confident in my action, more so on the first 3. Sorry, I have to keep drinking. I'm still coming over a little bit of a sickness. I'm parched pretty much 24/7. My son is sick too. So dealing with some sickness over here at the Torrance household, but we're going to get through it. All right, let's keep running. We go to the Rays and the Reds, and this is probably one of the most bullish markets I have in the database today. Right now, 53% of bets, 59% of cash coming in on the Reds. Sharp action is coming on the Reds per Odds Logic, per Action Network. And we've seen a very small 3 to 5 cent move towards Cincinnati, which is perfectly fine in this market. The total opened 7.5, currently sits 7.5. We've seen a little bit of juice towards the under, but not much. And if we look at when non-conference home teams close between minus 120 and plus 100 with a total less than 8, they're 66% straight up since 2023. As long as it stays within a 10-cent range, plus or minus, we're looking at 60% profiles. So all this cash coming in has been inaccurate. The sharp action, this is where they've gotten crushed. And I've eaten in this spot many times before. This is the sharp trap. This is that short line where all the action's on one side. You want to fade that action, especially if that move stays pretty pequito, pretty small. Even if we take if we go down to the non-conference filter, we'll be looking at massive, huge, small samples with huge favoritism towards the home favorite. But I won't really get into that. Matz is a pitcher that I had to come full circle on. I don't know what to expect from this kid, but he does have a 3.80 ERA, a 4.41 xERA, all quality starts except for his first. And he did pitch against Minnesota too. He's been crushing left-handed pitchers. I don't know if it's sustainable. But I do think I would say the answer is yes, because last year through 76 innings, he put up a 3.38 xERA. The Reds have hit him up with, over a 350 opponent batting average, but this Reds offense in its current state is not scary. It's one of the worst in the MLB. And not to mention that those numbers that they put up on Matz were years ago, 2022, 2023. Burns is a guy that I faded him against Los Angeles. I backed him against San Francisco. I lost that game 3-0 with the San Fran, but I did fade him correctly. Clearly an elite pitcher, but he removed a curveball and a sinker from his pitch mix. He's really just dependent on 2 pitches. His K rate is down, his walk rate is up. And, I think Tampa Bay would be able to give him some problems, especially at home where their bats have been much better than they've been on the road. I moved on this game. I need to move on this game. I have an incredible market environment. Fade the Reds, who are due to regress off a 4-game win streak. Back Tampa Bay, losing back-to-back, but they're still settling in finally. Now they're getting to their homestand. This is exactly where I expected the line to close. I'm on the Rays money line. I bet it at minus 105. Yeah, I agree, Diz. I agree. Matz has the tools to keep this Reds team at bay. Reds offense not a power. It's like they may have showed yesterday, and the Rays can turn it on. I agree 100%. Salty Pete, what's good, brother? What's good? Thank you for all the contributions you and your company makes. It's greatly appreciated. I know it is over here. Thank you, Salty. Mr. Pete. All right, we got the Nationals. We got the Braves. I cashed with the Nationals first 5 yesterday. The bullpen is a tragic situation. It's pretty clear that you're only betting the Nationals first 5 at this point. And I'm going right back to the well. All the action. You look at Action Network, you look at Odds Logic, 80% plus coming in on the Braves. Bets, cash, all of it. And it's a very common price range for the Nationals, moderate home dog. Usually the line's moving towards them in this case, but the sample size where the line is moved away from them, they've performed significantly better than when the line's moving towards them. And I think I know why. And I think it's because this first 5 line has actually moved 10 cents towards the Nationals. And that's the discrepancy I'm looking for when I'm attacking the books. We want to see a 20-cent price difference between first 5 and full game. We check that box. We want to see inverse line movement between the first 5 and the full game. We check that box. The full game line's moving towards the Braves. First 5 lines moving towards the Nationals. And I expect that to come to fruition. Market history signs off on it. Griffin is a guy. I don't know. He's a grown man pretty much. I think he's 30 years old. He is a candidate for regression. He's coming off a bad start against Pittsburgh, but he's been lights out. He start against the Dodgers, 1 earned run, 5-inning pitch, 1 hit, 5 hits. Milwaukee, 5-inning pitch, 1 hit, no runs. This guy is capable of putting up a good stat line. Atlanta is mashing pretty much all pitching right now, but I do think that they're just like everybody else in the MLB is due for regression, be it short term or long term. Lopez, another candidate for regression, but even though regressed is still pretty damn good numbers. Struggles with runners on base, and that's where I really think the edge comes in this first 5 is because Atlanta allows steals at the highest rate in the MLB. They cannot throw guys out. When the guys run rapid, and our guy, Lopez, clearly was flustered by all the running Miami was doing on him in his last start. I know for a fact the Nationals, every time they get a guy on base, they're going to be looking to steal bases, put a ton of pressure. And we know Lopez struggles. He has no move to first base, and he struggles versus left-handed hitters. He's got a 1.50 whip versus left-handed hitters, a 0.80 whip versus right-handed hitters, and that goes back to for years. Same deal with Ronaldo. So, yeah, I'm on the Nationals first 5. I split it up between the first 5 money line and the first 5 plus a half at -125. I'm on the Reds money line. Jerry, come on, man. Why do I feel like me and Jerry are always on the opposite sides? Hopefully today it doesn't come back to stab me. I'm sure you're putting a unit down on each play. Josh, like in this case with the Nationals, I bet first 5 money line for a full unit, but first 5 plus a half for a half a unit. And the reason I do that is because if I do get that push on the money line, I do want to show some profit because I do think I have an edge in that game. I'll be a little bit more clear about how I plan to attack from a unit and sizing standpoint, because I think sizing is massively important. All right, let's keep running. Another game that I love, Yankees, Red Sox. A lot of this action, it's completely split. Action Network showing all the money, 70% plus bets cash on the Yankees. The exact opposite per odds logic. We got a sharp square divide. From a total standpoint, 54% of bets, 76% of cash on the under, and I love to see it because we're not seeing a big move to the under. Now, it did open a little bit short from where you would expect it to be based on this pitching matchup, but when sharps are on the under in Boston, we see a line movement. 4 games have had sharp action on the Boston, at home on their under, and only 1 game had moved to the over. No games were stagnant. So 4 games moved toward the under. They responded, they showed concern, and those games went under. Pretty surprising. The side we see I want to call it a reopen at 105 after Gray went down because they had to use their entire bullpen. So we're seeing a big move. This shows 3 cents, but if you really dig into it, this line pretty much opened at 105. Red Sox. We're seeing heavy sentiment towards the Red Sox. Bookies like them. That's the side I would be looking towards. And if you look historically at this price range between, -130 and +100 for the home team in a conference, in division with a total between 8 and 9, it's just playing to the over. The line moves towards the home team, 69% to the over. And we're talking decent sized samples. It is in division, but 72 and 49 to the over, that's a decent sample. Red Sox 4-0 to the over in this market. Yanks 4-1 to the over in this market. Early, this is where I don't know what to do. The Yankees were the worst team in baseball against left-handed pitching, but they went from dead last to league average in a course of, 5 days. They faced Kikuchi, Reagans, and Cameron, and they embarrassed all of those left-handed pitchers. And I would expect that to continue because last year the Yanks were top of the league versus left-handed pitching. So early, really good pitcher. He's been great thus far. I backed him successfully against the Minnesota Twins. So I think we got to fade him. And Luis Heel, a pitcher I want to fade with a 6.43 xERA, on pace for the worst season of his career, 50% plus hard hit rate, 94 average exit velo. His K rate 17%. The league average is 25%. I know we're through one game, but if you watch that game, he looked terrible. He looked fade worthy, and that's exactly what I plan to do. He has great numbers versus this lineup, but that was prior to his injury. His last start. I mean, we're talking. Most of the sample size is prior to who we know Luis Heel to be now. A Red Sox bullpen is torched after yesterday. Yankees bullpen is fresh but terrible. And what I wanted to say about this game, the last thing about this market line functionality is at the same time, like we've seen totals less than 8 in Boston for weeks now, right? At home in Boston, they played 4 games with a total greater than 7.5. Only 4 games. Yesterday versus the Tigers, 8-6, 14 runs. On April 6th versus the Brewers, 8-6, 14 runs. On 4-5 against the Padres, 8-6, 14 runs. And the only game that went under was against the Padres on April 3rd, 5-2, 7 runs. But that total dropped from 9.5 to 8. We're not seeing that in this game. I'm on the over. I only moved on the over 8.5 at -102. I kind of want more, but I know that optically it doesn't. Optics aren't clean because the Yankees offense has awoken clearly as they're putting up a bunch of runs, and the Red Sox game went over yesterday. The optics are holding me back from adding multiple units to this bet, but I do like the market. I do love the matchup. They should. I expect fireworks. Let's go, Dizzy. I can't believe I'm betting over it. It's very uncomfortable betting on overs for me. Very uncomfortable. So I think this might be the first time I've ever given out an over on any type of live stream outside of football, which is, for every 15 under bets, I make 1 over bet. So I'm on the over. Salty Pete, you're always so generous, my man. Always so generous. Thank you. Thank you. To everyone who just got those memberships, thank our guy Dizzy. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting Pub Sports Radio. You're a big part of it. All right, let's get over to a game that I am extremely bullish on. Probably the most bullish of any game on the slate, and that is the Mets versus the Twins. And I know you guys watch Jimmy the Bag Show. If you're not watching Jimmy the Bag Show, you should be, because I love his looking through his lens, what he's seeing in this game. We are seeing a lot of cash coming in on the Mets. We're seeing a little bit of sharp action coming in on the Twins, and that's perfectly fine. We're talking about a team that's lost how many games in a row, and this line opened -171. We have seen a little bit of 8-cent move. Let's see if that actually still stands up. Yep, 8-cent move showing on screen here. I want to make sure this stands up. Yep, we're looking at an 8-cent move. That's what I'd be logging at the database. This total opened 7.5, and it's been pretty damn stagnant. 3-cent move towards the under. And that'd be the way I'd be leaning, would be towards the under, but I like one side more than the other. Fading the steam in this price and total range has been extremely profitable since 2023. And the only thing that's extremely consistent, if you look through this entire profile and really dive into it, like where there's no outliers, where there's a very tight distribution of results, it's in the road teams averaging very few runs. We see a lot of totals going under in this market type, but it's really because of the road team. Most applicable profiles to this sample, the road team is scoring under 2.5 runs. It's a full run under where the line is currently set at 3.5. And let me just leave you with this. Home teams that close between -175 and -150, which is splitting the difference 12 cents each way from the -163 that we're currently seeing in the market, and the line moving away from them, so towards the road team with a total less than 8. The home team is 41-16 straight up, 72%. The road team is under their team total in 78% of the sample. And if it's a non-conference play like this matchup is, 12-3 straight up, 80%. Road teams going under their team total all but one game in that sample. So I think that there's a little bit more value based on the break-even point of where these lines currently sit, right? You can get -140 on the Twins team total, and you're getting over 70%. You're hitting at 70%, and the money line's hitting at 70%. More values on the team total because it's a smaller price. I love McLean. By the way, I didn't touch on the matchup very much. Woods Richardson, he's a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know. He could post quality starts. He can get blown up. Extremely hard to handicap. But the one guy we know and I could rely on is McLean. Of course, every pitcher is going to go through a road bump at some point. He's had no blemishes this season so far. I mean, he just pitched in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run. Extremely impressive. And if you look at the Twins, whose offense looks like it's been pretty good, what pitchers have they seen of similar caliber? They've seen Brady Singer. They've seen Gray, Scherzer, Flaherty, Martinez, Boyle, Boz, Bradish. This will be the best right-handed pitcher they've seen by far. So I trust McLean to get him back on the right track. I did sprinkle on the money line with the Mets, but I did load up a little heavier sizing on the Twins team total under 3.5. I took McLean to record a win on DK plus 125. I'm always tempted with those bets because when I see him, I'm always like, I got to do analysis on it. Given the losing streak, that's a good question. And that's why I did that. Josh, that's a really good question. I would say that I like the money line a little bit less than the team total. And I sized it that way because, this offense is not trustworthy in its current state. And I am starting to get behind here, boys. It's time to start doing a little bit more of a blitz here. We got the Cubs and the Phillies. We're looking at a lot of cash coming on the Cubs. I'm not surprised. They've won 6 in a row. This is my team. That's why I've been staying away from these games more so because I got called out by some people. And right when I get called out, what happens? The Cubs win 6 in a row. And I was on them for 3 of them. But there's 3 games that I feel like I left money on the table because I've been betting this Cubs team for multiple years now with a lot of success, especially at home in Wrigley. Now, this isn't a private profile that really serves them well because the market's moving towards the under, and the Cubs are not good when the market's moving towards the under in Wrigley, no matter what the price is. I want to see high totals. I want to see the line moving their way with a conviction. Imanyaga. So the question is, right? We see the wind blowing out. If you look at all the weather reports, you'll see wind blowing dead out to dead center, and you'll be like, oh, in Wrigley, we're looking at a total of what? Of 8.5, 8. Right now, it's starting to tick up to 8.5, 9. But at the same time, if this total is not north of 9 runs, I would have to imagine this total goes under. I think Imanyaga made a ton of changes to his pitch mix that are going to serve him well. They've already served him well this season. His split finger is up over 5%. He's up 13% throwing the split finger against left-handed hitters with a ton of success. His sinker is also up 5 times from a very small number, but he's throwing the sinker a ton more. Much less slow breaking pitches, which are easy to adjust to in the box when you miss. Philly versus left-handed pitching, 30th with 59 WRC plus. I did make a small bet on the Cubs in this matchup. I do think Luzardo's going to have some favorable regression, but, I got a favorable market, and I got a pitching matchup. I want to continue back in Imanyaga with his new pitch mix. Royals, Orioles, Phillies here, no cap. Yeah, wager, no cap done. I know. I can make a case for the Phillies too. I can make a case, but not from a market standpoint. I think the market doesn't look very well. Very good for the Phillies backers. Royals, Orioles. We're seeing a lot of action, sharp action coming in on the O's per action and per odds logic. 50-50 bet splits. And we're seeing 67% of bets, 92% of cash come on the under. When this market opened, I was like, I'm going to be betting the over in this game because it was over 9, juice to the 9.5. And if you look at the history of a market that's where you have a 9, 9.5, basically a 9.25, so a 9 juice to the over or a 9.5, a lot of those games get pushed way over the total in this price range. Whereas if it's 8.5, 9, the trend is completely different. It's completely split. 9, 9.5, the games go over. 8.5, 9, the games go under in this price range. It's extremely clear. The way the market moves on the total is going to tell the story, and this is telling a story that it's going to go to the under, which is really hard to back because we know that the Royals at some point they're going to wake up. I mean, they had 12 hits and 1 run yesterday through 9 innings. I mean, it was a pretty embarrassing performance. Bubic and Boz, not much to say about them. I don't think there was a lot of notable things, and I would be looking towards the under and towards the Orioles in this market, but I have no action. All right, the Rangers and the Pirates, and this one's growing on me. I'll keep my eye on this one. I have reservations to make a bet here. I want to see this line close roughly where it is right now. I want to see it close plus or minus 8 cents from 120. And I know I'll be in a profitable situation per market history with the Rangers. We're seeing 50% of bets, 80% of cash on the Pirates per action, 85% of bets, 60% of cash on the Pirates per odds logic. That's insanity. Like, this Pirates team is becoming a little bit of a public sweetheart, and the line is moving towards them 3 to 5 cents. I mean, it's a negligible line move, and the total went from 8.5 down to 8, which is important because that does throw a little bit of a damper into the profile. But I want to back teams in this market that the Rangers are today, especially with all the cash coming in, especially with the sharp action coming in on the other side and seeing this very minuscule line move. The Rangers are 9-3 straight up in this market environment over since 2023, undefeated last season. They're also 9-3 to the under. Pirates are just 4-7. I think it's a great spot. I like both pitchers. I think both pitchers are, I think what Madzinski is a regression candidate, but even with regression, he's going to be an above average pitcher. And he's the reason that I'm starting to realize the splitter is the meta. Splitter is the meta. It's the new wave. I think we see more pitchers move to the splitter as time goes on. And it reminds me of the two high shell defense in the NFL, which has become meta. The splitter is meta. Rocker is a pitcher that I do think is going to be better. He still hasn't figured out his pitch mix. His four seam down to just 9% of his current mix. That's pretty crazy. I got a little bit of sprinkle on Rangers money line. I think there is some value to be captured there. And I also would be looking towards the under. But I haven't bet this one yet. We got 3 hours, 2.5 hours before that game pops off. Plenty of time. Rockies Padres. I'm sorry I haven't been able to interact with chat. I got caught up in the first few games. I got to catch up here. Okay, we got the Rockies and the Padres. I don't like betting games in cores, but the database went 6-0 on the side and the total, so 3-0 on each in the Dodgers series. Obviously, you're going to see everybody fading the Padres per the cash flow. You got a slight move towards the Padres on the side. Total's pretty much stagnant. And I think this is what I take away. What I gleaned from this game after studying the market is when the Rockies are at home priced between plus 110 and plus 130 in division, they're 5-2 straight up. Plus 110 and plus 130. The 130 is the Mason-Dixon line. Even if you remove the divisional filter, 18-16 straight up. But the Rockies is a plus money home dog in division. The average price is plus 165, and they're getting smashed when it's over that 130. So I do think it's a number that I think is short. I think the bookies are taking a position on the Rockies, and I understand why, because Dollander could potentially be elite. His year-over-year progression is noticeable. 1.55 whip last year to 1.11 so far this year. Last year, 5.13 xERA. This year, 3.23 xERA. Last year, he struggled at home, but the changes to his pitch mix should help. Sinker up from 10% to 24%. And it's going to pair well with that fastball he's throwing for over 100 miles an hour, or just about 100 miles an hour, and he's doing it pretty consistently. I'm going back to the well with the Rockies. First 5, money line. First 5 plus a half. A lot like I bet the Nationals, splitting it up, and betting the Rockies in the first 5. Want to stay away from the Padres bullpen. Yeah, I took the Rockies. Let's go, Solution. Thank you. You got a full game or first 5? Yeah, Herger's starting, but Dollander's going to be the primary. So Dollander's going to come in after Herger gets him through the first inning. Likely not 2. You're probably just going to see 1 from Herger. First 5 under 5.5. I do like that as well. Digging. Love the Rockies Padres over today. The over. It's so hard to. I don't totals and cores. It's so hard. You almost got to remove the Rockies from most of your sample too. Right, that's why you have to add filters on the total and stuff like that, because these Rockies, like, what am I going to glean from a Rockies line relative to the league? Like, Rockies have their own independent markets, and that's how they should be treated. All right, we got Angels. We got Blue Jays. I was on the Angels first 5 yesterday. I want to continue back in Detmers. I pushed, but I'm not surprised to see a lot of 50-50 sentiment. I think that people like the Angels, people like the Blue Jays. I think it's pretty split. Small, very small 2 to 5 cent move towards the Blue Jays, and it's back to where it opened. So we're pretty much right where we opened here. The side, small 2 to 5 cent move towards the Blue Jays. Yeah, open. Yeah, we're at a 9.25, and we're still at a 9.25 on the total. Circuit dropped this from 9.5 down to 9, and I have action in this game, and it's not on the side. It's on the total, because we have 2 bums on the mound, right? 2 bums on the mound with Corbin and Kakanowicz. Well, I'm on the under. If you go through the history of this market, this 9.25, right, 9.5 to 9 to 9.5, with this exact market environment, right, short home favorite, line pretty much stagnant, we are going under the total, and it ranges from 59% all the way up to 81%. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it reminds me of when I was betting the under in the Nationals game just recently with Mikolas on the mound. Everybody was backing the over, and I totally understand why, but I feel like you got to fade that sentiment. I'm not a Corbin believer. I'm not an apologist. This guy's been a bum. He's got a 7.91 xERA. From a matchup standpoint, it's going to be really hard to make a case for Corbin. However, we know the Angels lineup has kind of gone dead. recently since they've been home from their road trip. And I would expect that to continue. Regression comes for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, how good you are, it's coming. And Kakanowitz, he's definitely been better this season, shifted to a sinker changeup opposed to a sinker slider, gets ground balls at one of the highest rates in the MLB. He's moving in the right direction. Both bullpens should be available. I'm on the under 9 at plus 100. And I bet you could probably get better numbers now. I love the no juice because I have this total going significantly under by margin. So I would rather not pay the juice, take the 9, push if I have to. It's perfectly fine with me. 1 unit, under 9. Mariners A's. I was on the Athletics last night, and I wanted to be back on them in this spot because the Mariners markets are so telling. Line functionality, the line movement is so clear in these games. If the line is so efficient in Mariners home games, I don't know what it is. We've seen a little bit of a move towards the A's, and that's kind of come back. We've seen some U-shaped movement, which isn't going to be enough to keep me off. This is one game I had reservations for. I do want to back Lopez. You know, if it wasn't for walks, he's one of the highest walk rates in the MLB. He's averaging one walked batter per inning, which is egregious. But Seattle versus left-handed pitching, 28th with 62 WRC plus. Last year, Lopez's walk rate was 9.3%. Now it's 19%. Like I expect both pitchers to have a quality start. I expect this game to go under. I lean towards the Athletics because I'm not sure how good the Seattle Mariners are at the moment. Okay, we got the Diamondbacks and the White Sox. So this is another market that's been a little bit tricky, bouncing back and forth, and it's right back to where it opened. It's at minus 156. The total opened at 9. We're currently seeing it sitting at 9. I mean, this side and total is pretty much flat from where it opened. Market history suggests the road team wins roughly 47 to 52% of the time, which would be enough to make a move, but that could change drastically based on how this market closes. So this is a game I really don't feel comfortable with. 2 pitchers I don't feel comfortable with Burke, who I think is the epitome of an average pitcher, and actually Kelly is too. I would have said before this season that he's slightly above average. He had a quality start against Baltimore, but the jury's still out on Kelly. I mean, we're talking about a guy, I think he transitions from slightly above average to slightly below average at 37 years of age. This is just a pass for me. Under 6 Ks, Jerry Davis. Yeah, he's not getting the Ks anymore, is he? Old man Castillo. All right, I think we got one more game on the MLB slate. It's the Giants. It's the Dodgers. Maybe we could circle back. We could profile some of these games with these late line movements, like in this Mariners game. But the Giants, Dodgers. Yeah, this is pretty similar to what we've seen. We're seeing a 10 to 15 cent move towards San Francisco. This total opened at 7. It's now at 7.5, and it's starting to get juicy, more and more juicy towards the over. All the actions coming in on the Dodgers per action. 90% of bets, 66% of cash on the Dodgers per odds logic. Road teams in division that close between 130 and 170. Home teams that close in division between plus 130 and plus 170. And a total that closes below 8 dominate. They win at a ridiculous rate. It doesn't matter which way the line moves. If it moves towards the home team, towards the road team is winning over 70% of the time. I haven't moved on this yet. The Dodgers are 3-0 straight up in that sample. All the wins came against the Giants, winning by 2, 3, and 7 respectively. I love both these pitchers, Yamamoto and Roop. I think he could potentially be elite, right? These are 2 Cy Young candidates, and I'm surprised to see this total moving to the over so aggressively. For that reason, I'm gonna have to revisit this game, but I do lean towards the Dodgers. And I would be leaning towards the under. Hopefully this does get up to an 8, and then I would be more apt to take the under. The MLB, I spent a lot of time, and I didn't get out, probably got up about half of what I wanted to. There's so much damn information I have logged right now. Would love to share it all. Would love to sit here for 2-3 hours and do a marathon of MLB handicapping, but we got the NBA playoffs on deck. So, with the NBA, with the NHL, temper your expectations. It's not something that I bet, fractional units, if anything at all. We got the Celtics. We got the 76ers. Embiid out of the lineup. I would feel bad for this guy if he didn't get paid, right? This guy's rich. It's hard to feel bad for a rich guy like that. But, we're seeing all the action coming in on Celtics, whether it's action or odds logic. The total or the spread opened, and I gotta click over to make sure this information has remained the same. The spread opened at 14.5. It was stagnant. It remained stagnant. The total opened 216.5. It's up to 217.5. Game one, Boston opened minus 12.5. They won by 32. So what do the bookies do? They make an adjustment. And the public believes they're going to do it again because this line moved 2 points from last time where it opened and where it closed. And the new age of basketball is crazy. 3-point volume really dictates who's going to win, who's going to be able to take advantage of the 3-point shot. Celtics will shoot 2 or 3 times as many three-point shots as the 76ers team. If they hit them, they're going to cover the spread. If they don't, they're not going to cover the spread. Like, it's a very tricky to be able to tell what 3-point variance is going to look like with a spread this big. It's really difficult to measure. And can we change the scoring system in basketball? How about that? Let's make it so every dunk is also worth 3 points. Let's even the scales. Make the game more digestible, more fun, more physical. Yeah, I would love to see that. But I want to bet against this line functionality. We also have favorable line functionality for the over. I won't be betting this game. I hate betting the over, but that would be the only way I look in that game. For now, that's a pass. G-Man plus 1.5. Roop at the crib. Jermaine, my man. I love me some Roop. I love me some Roop. I just don't love that big number. And if you go back and look at the Giants sample at home, they're never really this big of a dog at home. They're never that big of a dog. So that's kind of a red flag. But you also want to fade the Dodgers too, because they're coming off that offensive explosion at the height, right? In elevation in Colorado. Now they're going to San Francisco where offense is so suppressed. Like, I totally understand fading the Dodgers. Really tough game. I'm on Philadelphia in the under. Well, Jerry, I'm not on anything in that game. I really hope you cash. I'm just saying what I see from the market standpoint. I'm not that in tune with the NBA at the moment. But we got the Spurs and the Blazers right now. 65% of bets cash coming in on the Spurs. Sharp action coming on the Spurs at odds logic. The line opened at 12. It's up to 12.5. It's down actually to 11.5. And this total is up from it's pretty much stayed at 219.5. It's coming back down here. It got up to 221.5, back down to 219.5. And in game one of the series, Spurs opened at 12.5 and they covered by a hook. Now this line opens at 12.5 and gets bet down. That makes me immediately want Portland. That 12 number is a key number. That's 4 possessions, 3, 6, 9, 12. I look at this line and I immediately want Portland. Another, for me, I look at the roster as well. And Advia, I personally trust. I'd be looking towards Portland in this game. Blazers keep it close, considering betting the 11.5. 1 points over. Don't worry about the. Well, I'm on the Blazers under 105. Blazers under. Blazers team total under 105. Jerry, we are on the opposite side of pretty much every freaking spot, but I'm not on this. I'm not on the NBA, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you're just trying to come in here and fade me. Which might be a good idea in the NBA. All right, Lakers, Rockets. Teams that come off playing cores. Yeah, exactly. Trey Bebe, 100%. I'm going to really have to think about how that's playing into that line in that market in general. Maybe that'll be enough to actually flip me from the Dodgers side to the Giants side. I'm just shocked to see Roop at plus whatever the price is right now. It's ridiculous. Lakers, Rockets. No Doncic, no Reeves, and everybody still wants the Lakers. You got over 50% of bets at both odds logic and action coming in on the Lakers. But you're seeing the sharp action on odds logic coming in on the other side, coming in on the Rockets. I'm not surprised that the public wants to back the Lakers. I'm not surprised that the bookies want to fade the Lakers because this line opened 4.5, 5. It's up to 5.5. It's looking like it's probably going to hang around 5, 5.5 for the remainder of the day. Maybe there's some late steam, but it's probably going to land right there, 5, 5.5. Game one of this series, Lakers closed plus 2.5. They won by 9, and the bookies reward them by opening them as a 5-point dog, and moving the line towards the Rockets, scoffing at the public. I mean, do we even need to talk about the matchup when we see that strong of a market and still under 2 possessions? Sign me up for the Rockets. That's the way I would be betting this game. And there's Jerry Davis right on cue, looking towards the Lakers money line. And I would agree. Like, if I'm going to be on the Lakers, I'm going to be on the money line. I'm going to be looking for the big plus price, the big payout. I'm not going to be laying juice with a 5.5 when things are clearly either going to get out of hand or they're going to, take care of business. You got the 4.5 at minus 115. That's an excellent number. It's weird too. In the NBA, the 5 comes into play way more frequently than in the college basketball, for whatever reason that is. Very awkward to see that in the history when I'm going through the database, that the 5 is way more valuable in the NBA than it is in the NCAA. Went on the Timberwolves last night. Yeah, the Timberwolves. That's my team. I remember the first show I ever did on Pub Sports Radio. I came on here and I said, we're betting the Timberwolves against the Denver Nuggets. And it was game 1 of the first round of the playoffs. And I got publicly embarrassed. And that embarrassment, that shame that I went to sleep with that night was enough to make me go public with my action. One day later, the very next day, I went public with my action, started posting every bet. And that was in 2023. All right. All right. I think that's it for the NBA. Let's get over to the NHL, which is, based on this card, probably my least knowledgeable category, but I have been starting to follow it more and more frequently, since I've been doing this show, which is exactly how it should be. Right now, we got the Lightning, Canadians, currently 70% of bets, 50% of cash is coming on the Lightning. At the time, I did not have any cash flow. Let me pull up. Let me actually make this change here. Let's pull up the cash flow per OzLogic because I would trust that more. We're still not seeing anything. So we're going to pass on cash flow. So we're seeing basically the public coming on the Lightning, the line's actually reacting because the line's fading the sharp action. This line's moved 12 cents towards Tampa Bay despite the sharp action coming in on the Canadians. Lightning in game 1 closed minus 180. They lost 3-4. Now they open minus 180 and get bet up to minus 192. And that's currently where the line sits, as you can see on the screen. This is probably the most clear buy sign I see on the card as it relates to line functionality. I know Jimmy the Bag before I had to go back and check. I go and check Jimmy's action with the NHL, especially doing this show, because I want to see what his thought process is in this game. And Jimmy's on the Lightning -1. He has some futures. Before game 1, the future for the Lightning to win the series was -240. Now it's -120. Jimmy made the move. Lightning have lost 9 of their last 10 home games in the postseason. And I feel like this market is pretty telling of what's going to happen, what the result's going to be in this game. I could only look towards the Lightning in this matchup. Game 2, Lightning bounce back as favorites. Lay the 1, take the money line, eat the juice, whatever floats your boat. That would be, if I was going to bet one NHL game tonight, that would be the one. All right, let's go. Sabres, Bruins, 79% of bets, 72% of cash coming on the Sabres. This open -170. We've seen a 5-cent move towards the Sabres. Total open 6.5, heavily juiced to the under, just like these totals always are in NHL. And it's stagnant. Now I can see you're going to be making a lot of, you're going to be making a lot of flat lines, 6, 5, 7, whatever it is. You don't want to be taking this juice on these totals. That's ridiculous. Sabres close game 1 -166. They win 4-3. And then they open 5 cents bigger at -170. Jimmy the Bags on the Sabres -1. He tripled up on these guys, money line and -1.5. And I would agree here based on the line movement alone. And the Sabres were able to overcome a 2-goal deficit with 8 minutes remaining. Now this line opens bigger, so they showed they were struggling. They were down 2 goals with 8 minutes left. And now the bookies open this line bigger after that miraculous comeback. Like, that tells me it's likely an inspiring moment. It's more likely an inspiring moment than a letdown moment for the Sabres in this spot. So that's the way I would be looking in this game. Bruins all offense over 6.5. Totals in NHL, I don't feel like I could even speak to them knowledgeably. I'd be doing you a disservice. What's up, True Teller? KD is playing. I would assume he's still out. It's good, Jerry. 100%. That's what it is. 100%. Thank you for that note. That's a very key note. That's a very key note with that Lakers game. And if that's the case, my entire thought process would change in that game. And I would have to reassess. All right, next up, we got Golden Knights and Mammoth. Rob McMahon, my boy, what's good? Let's fucking go. You missed MLB. But yeah, there's so much to talk about on the MLB card. I love the slate today. 14 open bets and counting. Potential to add more. Avalanche Sabres moneyline parlay for True Teller. I can see it. Moneyline parlays have been a thorn in my side since the end of the NFL season. Since the end of the NFL season, it feels like I haven't hit any money line parlays. And they've definitely been a detriment to my bankroll, especially in the MLB, because the Yankees money line parlays have failed me miserably. Parlays, you already know, like I talk about this a lot on Bankroll Blitz. When you make a parlay, it don't matter if it's 2, 3, 4 legs. Now, anything over 4 legs, you are getting robbed. I did a little bit of math on this. I mean, they're stealing value from you. I mean, they got to be holding like 5 to 10% on every parlay, but at least 5 to 10%. All right, we got the Golden Knights, we got the Mammoth, all the action coming on the Knights. Some sharp action on the Mammoth. The line opened minus 162 with a 6-cent move towards Utah. The total's been pretty stagnant, 5.5, heavily juiced to the over. This line closed exactly where it opened this game, right? Minus 162 in game 1, reopens the same number. The Knights won that game 4-2. It was trickle flood with the Golden Knights in game 1. 3 third-period goals to finish comfortably with a 2-goal win. But it looks like the bookies in this case, unlike the other case we talked about, is having some concerns with what they've seen in game 1. And they're starting to move this line the opposite way. Jimmy's on the over 6 in this game. I'll be looking towards the Mammoth to clap back here in game 2. Over for Vegas. Yeah, Jerry, that was you. I thought I was reading that in chat maybe 2-3 weeks ago now. You know, talking about how first period under, second period over for Vegas is just ridiculous. Did it continue? Jerry, if you can, put in chat. Did it continue in game 1 of the series? That's insane, because that run for first period in Kings game or in Golden Knights games. Is that what it is? Is it Golden Knights? Vegas, yes, it is. When you see first period under, second period over is on just a ridiculous streak. And yes, it did. Yeah. Keep running with it. Keep running with it. There's some sports, I say this in MLB, and I compare it to the NFL. You know, in the NFL, like you're looking to buy high or buy low, sell high on teams. You know, one game represents what percentage of your season. Whereas like in the MLB, one game represents a fraction of what it does in the NFL. So like what I'm saying is in the MLB, you want to ride trends. You want to ride trends. You don't want to get in front of them. You don't want to try to catch a falling knife like in the NFL where you can take a hard line stance, because it's a much different market. All right, last game on the board, Avalanche Kings. And no surprise here to see everybody piling on the Avalanche. They are an absolute juggernaut. The line opened 278. We got a 13-cent move towards the Avalanche. The total is stagnant at 5.5. No juice in either direction. This game closed minus 290 in game 1. They won 2-1, a closely contested game. A little love for the Kings from the books, in my opinion, and it's a tough one to read. I definitely don't feel comfortable with this market in this specific game, but I know my boy Jimmy the Bag moved on the Avalanche plus 900 to win the Cup prior to the season starting. This man, you know how insane that is to be having a rough day-to-day season in the NHL, but cash, what is he, 10 to 15 and 0, 10 to 15 bets and 0 in the futures market. That's pretty insane. Yeah, but I couldn't move on this side. I don't got a clean read on the market, but I do think that the bookies are clearly saying the Avalanche. I mean, it looks like it's going to come to fruition. They're going to win the Cup. I expect the Avalanche to win a close one in that game. Diz, my boy, thank you. 772. Come on. 772. You meant to put a 3 there, right? 773 312. You already know, Diz. You already know. I fucks with you. All right. Do we have any time? We have 5 minutes. 772. My man. Tyler Wanless, my guy. Ty, hit him up. Who's cashing the RBI props today? My boy Tyler in here. Yes, sir. Yeah, just going back to it, I really think that Twins team total under would be my favorite, my best grade on the board, with all 3 elements aligning: the motivation, the matchup, the market, everything. You're checking all the boxes. Next up, I'm going to be looking, as soon as this show's over, I'm going to be looking at adding to my position on the Rays, considering a bet on the Marlins. I'm going to be looking at the Giants again, because that's the psychological aspects of that spot You know, Dodgers coming from elevation in Colorado, putting up 13 runs, embarrassing the Rockies. Now they're going to face Roop, who's a stud, elite pitcher in San Francisco, that offensive suppressing ballpark. Great spot. Really, really interesting spot. Horner, Bregman, RBI plus 500. That total in the Cubs game is ticking up. I'm gonna have to readdress that spot. But if we start seeing nines, that's the threshold for me. That's the Mason-Dixon for Cubs at home. Those who don't clutch, I get all his action every day. Welcome to the winner. Ty, my guy, I really appreciate you. You know I don't tout myself. I put out my entire handicaps on these spots. I love doing it. I know I'm operating with an edge in the MLB, and I'm going to capitalize on that edge moving forward, just like I did last season and the year before. Come on, Trey. Come on, Dre. Let's rock. Thanks, Troy Diggin. Didn't know you did a baseball show since today. Great breakdowns. Thank you. Did you watch the whole show, Diggin? I always wonder, like, should I start with MLB? Should I finish with MLB? Because, you know, how long does it take for people to filter in here? If I'm already getting through halfway through the MLB card, when people get in, then you really missed, the value that I'm adding. So if you didn't catch the beginning, go back and check out the beginning of the MLB handicap. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the closing line for April 21st, one day after 420. Just to let you know, thank you to everyone who stopped by and support us. I truly mean it. Like, I would not be here. When I say this, I sincerely mean it. Pub Sports Radio holds a close place to my heart. I'm a Jimmy the Bag disciple. He taught me to understand and to interpret the market. And that's what led me to building the market efficiency database. I'm Troy Torrance. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern to represent Pub Sports Radio. But my comrade Peter Loshak's here every other day of the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to deliver the goods. And as I always say, because it's goddamn true, I've been sitting in this damn spot since 5 a.m. with 15-minute, just stepping away, getting some food, getting a coffee. I've been in this spot since 5 a.m. trying to get money. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass on Thursday.
It's easier to sleep in the black when you're losing your ass and feeling so. You know what to do. Tune in to Pub Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Dabby and the fam, Dutch wine time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.